Chicken little, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. How many times do we have to go through this? The lack of understanding that people who claim that they read and study this Bible have. This gentleman is saying, why are these things happening now? The writings in Zachariah, to which it is talking about how the nations will come against Israel, come against Jerusalem, and that they will come and they will destroy Jerusalem and take their women and ravage them and take their cities and destroy the city. These things are not now prophecies. These things were happening based on the Babylonian captivity that Zachariah's writings are concerning, and you can make it fit multiple scenarios within the history of Jerusalem and the so-called Israelite people. Whether we're talking about whether talking about Zechariah talking about what previously already happened during the time frame of Hezekiah in the 8th century when when Jerusalem was being sieged upon by the Assyrian Empire, but then they survived that siege. All other parts of northern Israel were destroyed, but Jerusalem was able to successfully bribe their way out of Sennacherib's grasp, and could have easily made that into when the Babylonians did come and sack Jerusalem and take the people out of Jerusalem, take the women, tear down their walls, and tear down the temples. And then at this time frame, it is estimated that Zechariah was written around 520 to 518 BCE. So this would have been after the Babylonian captivity, when the king of Persia, Darius, would have released them. Cyrus would have released them. And in looking at the world around them, after seeing how they have been taken by empire after empire after empire, and still being a vassal state of the Persian Empire, could have been speaking of the concern that Zechariah had, that if they do not rebuild the temple and start worshiping this God, that this was going to happen to Jerusalem again. But what did they do? They built the temple, and that began the Second Temple period. But what happened? The Greeks came in and they conquered Jerusalem. Then the Romans came in. Well, no, before the Romans, Israel did exist for a short period of time as an independent state under the Maccabees. But then the Romans came in and they sacked Jerusalem, tore down the temple. Then they exiled the Jews out of Israel. And so if you're talking about, oh, look what's happening now, if anything, Zechariah's prophecies were fulfilled during the time frame of the Roman Empire in the 2nd century BCE, when it was captured by Rome, and then fulfilled finally in 70 AD, when Titus finally conquered Jerusalem after a revolt, and then tore down the temple and exiled the Jews to the places of Egypt, to places of northern Africa, to places within Europe. And that would have been more inclined to what Zechariah was talking about. Right now is not the time frame. The nations aren't coming against Israel. America is being split down the middle, but the government of America is supporting Israel. Most of the European countries are supporting Israel. So the nations are not coming against Israel right now. Not in the way that you're trying to say Zechariah is talking about. Zechariah literally was pretty much talking about the Persians and the Greeks and the Romans. It was not talking about today. But y'all want to force this book to be relevant today, when this book is not relevant at all. So always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.